It's too much, too much. Come on in the space. Come on in. Happy Sunday. Whew, I'm all over the place today. I'm on StreamYard. So if you're watching me on LinkedIn or if you're watching me on Facebook, please give StreamYard permission to show your name. That way I can see you there. I'm also live streaming on YouTube as well as Instagram. So I got a lot going on here. Trying to make sure that I'm looking at all the cameras at some point so that you feel like you are being communicated to and are with. So let me, uh-oh, I think one of my earbuds is out. So let me make sure I put that back in. So, okay, come on in, say hey. Say hey. And if you've been following what's going on Twitter, just say yes. I have been following what is going on Twitter. I'm Renita Alexander. This is Set It Up Sunday. Set It Up Sunday is my weekly conversation about all the things that you can do to set yourself up for success, whatever way you define success. So set yourself up for the week, the month, the year, your goals for the year. We're ending 2022. I'll be doing some things in 2023 right at the beginning to get you ready for that year. So, but I focus a lot in Set Up Sunday on leading yourself in this space. And I believe that is foundational to leading others. And it's really a part of most things that I do, any kind of workshop or any of my courses or any of coaching that I do. It's really the focus is on setting yourself up, leading yourself first. So anyway, I mentioned Twitter. I really wasn't focused on that this week. I was focusing more on the piece of responsibility, which was my topic this week. The piece of responsibility about taking responsibility for yourself and the choices that you make for you. And I hadn't really followed Elon Musk's journey too closely, but I was aware enough to know that if I ever invested in an electric car, it probably wouldn't be from his company. But I started paying closer attention when this whole Twitter saga started. So first he was buying the company and then he wasn't. And then Twitter sued to force the purchase. And then, after saying he didn't want to buy the company, he wanted to buy the company. And a press release that announced the agreement back in April Musk said that free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated. So I felt in that statement when I read that, that he was acknowledging Twitter's unique and pivotal place in shaping the news as well as the political discourse, not just in this country, but all over the world. But then he also let it be known that he is a free speech absolutist. In other words, there's no speech that should be prohibited from his perspective. And then people with a lot more expertise than me expressed concern. I know I was concerned, but a lot of experts expressed concern. And then, of course, he actually took control of the company. And apparently, chaos has ensued. And so I don't have any access to any insider information. I'm just kind of sharing what I have seen from the things that I have read. Hey, Clarine, thanks so much for joining me. Now, I think that people's perception of Musk really depends on whether, their beliefs and, all everything that we see, everything that we believe is seen and believed through our own filters. And this is no different. And so I believe that, people's perception of Musk depends on several things, whether or not they believe that, racism or sexism or lying about your credentials, our character matters, or should matter, or whether they believe that wealth, whatever its source, is indicative of intelligence, which, by the way, is not the most accurate predictor of success, especially in a leader, or whether they believe that people with wealth should be able to ignore the mores and the morals that apply to the rest of us and do what they want, or whether they believe that Twitter is a digital town square that serves a such a crucial function, and that it should be preserved regardless of how much money it makes. Obviously, it's got to make money to pay the people that are running it, and whether it should be privately owned, because I've seen some discussions about that, or whether they believe that what is happening at Twitter is intentional or irresponsible, or intentional and irresponsible. I'm going to focus on that last part. And like I said, it wasn't what I was going to focus on initially when I decided that this week I would talk about responsibility, but I thought it was a great way to discuss responsibility from a leader's perspective and the leader's responsibility to the organization she is privileged to lead. Now, I use privilege a lot when I'm talking about leadership because leadership is about influence, right? People choose to be influenced by a particular leader. It just doesn't happen, it just doesn't happen. Just because you're in a position, it doesn't mean that people are actually allowing themselves to be influenced by you. And what we've seen over the last couple of years is that people have been way, way, way more discerning about who they allow to have influence in their lives, what environments they want to work in, and whether or not they wanted to be even associated with a company's brand. And since it's people that run any organization of any size, that what they want really should matter. And what people really want is to know that they matter, that they are seen, that they are heard, that the expertise and the experience they bring is valued. And that was one of my first leadership lessons from the Air Force when I first came in as a lieutenant. Because even though Twitter, yes, is different and it does play this role that we didn't even, I guess, know we needed or required, and every company doesn't have that worldwide impact. The responsibilities to create a functioning organization aren't really that different from any other organization. So every organization has a responsibility to stakeholders, be it board members, our investors, our employees, our customers, our clients, or their larger community. All of those stakeholders have expectations. So what are those responsibilities? So let's start with the end result. Every organization has a vision that they are working to achieve, right? So it's the leader's responsibility to establish, or in the case of an existing organization, maintain a vision. And that vision should really be other and bigger than the leader, right? So, how do you get there? How do you get to the vision, the goal, the objectives? Well, the first thing is finding the people that are attracted to you and your vision, who can see themselves in your vision. Ava DuVernay says that if your vision or people can't see themselves in your vision, or it doesn't include other people, then it's probably too small. And then building relationships with those team members that have been attracted to you, that are built on trust. And that may be a little bit harder to do when the organization is already established. And in fact, that may, instead of bringing people in, it may require some pruning. And some would suggest that Musk is in fact doing that. But I mean, I think when you lose 70% of your workforce, that's I don't know. Anyway, leadership is all about influence, and influence is based on relationships. And most people, they're just not going to be in a relationship with people they don't trust. So, how do you build that trust in an organization? Well, I always say the leader has to trust first. The leader has to model trust by offering trust to his team, by sharing who he is, his ideas, his expertise, and by being trustworthy, by listening and applying what she has learned about her team to respond in a way that inspires team members to trust her even more. So it's this cycle of openness and transparency, and then applying what you've learned to be, more responsive to the people that you are privileged to lead. As a leader, you really should want your team to bring all that they are to whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. You want your team to believe that everyone on the team is going to bring the best versions of themselves to achieve the team goal. That's what you should want as a team leader. Now, not everybody is going to agree on the course of action to get to whatever it is you're trying to get to, right? In fact, I wouldn't even necessarily expect a team to agree on an initial proposal or a new course of action when it's first presented, especially if they are a new team. Well, why do you ask that? Well, again, it's the same reason that you have a team. You want to have different areas of expertise. You want to have different perspectives. You want different experience. You want different strengths, personalities, values. And you want everybody, again, to feel free to bring all of that to the table. And so when that happens, disagreements, conflict, that could happen. And again, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing unless it's unresolved. And you can't resolve it if you don't know it's there. And if you're not in a relationship with the folks on your team, you may not know it's there. And you may be hesitant or unwilling to look for it. But if you're the leader and your response to disagreement is to ignore it or to fire the person who disagreed with you, you may never hear another word of dissension ever, ever, ever again. And if that's what's happening in your team, then what is the point? If everybody is just kind of doing the corporate head nod and agreeing with what you say, you're not really getting the diversity of thought and an experience and expertise that is the whole purpose of having a team. But if you have the relationship and you can figure out the points of contention and get through the conflict, you gain some things. You gain clarity, you gain commitment, and you gain some accountability, right? To hold yourselves and each other accountable to whatever course of action you have agreed to. And then when we've got all that in place, you can get to the responsibility of execution to achieve the vision that you all agreed to, right? So I've talked about four things. I've talked about relationship, resolving conflicts, the responsibility of execution, which gets you to the results you've all agreed to. Maybe some of that's in place over at Twitter. Again, yeah, it's not looking too cool. Hopefully he'll right the ship, or he'll figure it out. Elon Musk may well be a genius. I got into a Twitter a Facebook discussion because I was on Facebook, and I said something that was about Elon Musk, and somebody sort of disagreed with me and talked about the fact that he's a genius or that he's created this company. Well, he didn't found Tesla. He was not the founder. He bought his way into a co-founding. They agreed after some lawsuits to identify him as a co-founder, but he didn't found the company. And I've learned that that's the case with several of the companies he's founded. But anyway, he may well be a genius. But we know that cognitive intelligence is not a great predictor of competence, especially in a leader. Or he may be the hatchet man for governments who want to stop Twitter from being used as a tool for bringing information to people who may not otherwise have access. So he may, again, all of this may be intentional. We don't know what we don't know. But I thought it was a great way to look at leadership in case it is unintentional, and talk about responsibility. So, what do you think? What do you think about what's going on at Twitter? Right? Let's see. Somebody is agreeing with me on the perception of Musk. Yeah, absolutely. Our perception of anything is based on our own filters, right? We think we're being objective, but everything that we have an opinion about, what we call reality, is really just based on our perception, how we've been socialized, what we believe. And so it's why people can be exposed to the same exact thing and come away with multiple explanation of what has happened or what is happened or and why. So Clarine says the problem is when a leader doesn't feel like they have a responsibility to stakeholders, the public, and believe they can do whatever they want, no matter what. Yes, Clarine, you have hit the nail on the head. And especially, I think that's interesting, and I kind of agree with you. But his comments that he made at the very beginning that I quoted about seeing Twitter as this digital social town square, this digital town square would lend you to believe, or make you believe that he saw this unique this unique position that Twitter is in. But sometimes the ego gets in the way. One of the articles that I read about this talked about, I think it was from Forbes, talked about sometimes the ego gets in the way. The Guardian referred to him as well as somebody who reminds me of him, the former president, as narcissist, a billionaire narcissist, and so sometimes that's that narcissism that gets in the way. So I don't know, but I think everybody agrees that things aren't going well for whatever reason. So, any other questions or comments? Thank you all so much for joining me live. Let me see if there's any comments on YouTube. I'm not seeing any. So thank you so much for joining me live. I don't take it for granted that you're here. Even if you're here after the fact and you have thoughts on this topic, please feel free to share share your comments in the comments section. I will be right back here next Sunday. I think I'm going to be here next Sunday. I know it says Sunday after Thanksgiving. Maybe we'll just spend some time just talking about things that we're grateful for. I will be actually traveling. I'll be in Atlanta with my daughter. And so we're going to cook something up for Thanksgiving dinner. And so I hope you have, until then, since this is the weekend before Thanksgiving, I hope you have a wonderful holiday and that you find things to be grateful for. And I will see you when I see you. Have a great evening.